5, and 50 could be as fast and as easy as snapping your fingers. Wow. Well, who is ready to find out? If you're ready, then I'm ready. Let's jump right into it. Meanwhile, welcome to Maths is Easy with Mr. David, and I'm so glad having you one more time in class. Hope you all are doing so great over there. I can't wait for us to jump right into this. Okay, so quickly, let's look at this. How to multiply even numbers by 5 and 50 in seconds. First of all, what are even numbers? Okay, even numbers are numbers that can be easily divided by 2 without remainder. Okay, we have examples of numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on and so forth. They're part of the numbers that we love. You know, the opposite of even numbers are odd numbers, and in the next video, I'm going to be showing you how to also multiply odd numbers by 5 and 50, 500, and so on. So let's jump right into this. Okay, I have an example here. This is 12 times 5. 12 is an even number, all right? So now, how do we multiply 12 by 5, even numbers by 5 or 50? Okay, first of all, what we're going to do there is a simple math trick. You know, we have so many math laws that govern multiplication. We have the commutative law, we have the distributive law. What did I say? All right, the distributive law, I'm correct. Okay, so some of this are what I put together to get some of these tricks. Okay, so we're going to be making use of one of those law again, one of those theories. So what we're going to simply be doing here, I'm going to have one side and then double the other. Now I'm going to make a video on that. That actually helps while multiplying 5. So we are just going to divide 12 by 2. We're going to divide 12 by 2. That is the half of 12, and half of 12 will give me what? Will give me 6. And then I'll double 5, which is multiplying 5 by 2, and you know 5 times 2 is 10. So just divide the other one by 12 by 2 and then multiply by 10, and this will give you 60, which is very simple. So the trick is very simple. Divide the number by 2 and then multiply whatever you get there by 10, and you know that multiplying by 10 is the same thing as adding 0 at the back of whatever you've just divided. So let's look at this example to break it down further. So 64 multiplied by 5, you divide 64 by 2, that will give us what? 6 divided by 2 is 3, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then you multiply by 10. And multiplying by 10 is the same thing as adding 0 at the back. So instead of me doing that, I'll just do what? 320, add 0 at the back. And that is as fast as possible. Remember I told you. Okay, another example, this is 844 multiplied by 5. So how do we do that? The same thing, divide 844 by 2. So if I divide 8 by 2, I'm going to have 4. Divide 4 by 2, I'm going to have 2. Divide 4 by 2, I'm going to have 2. Then what are we going to do? Just add 0 at the back. And that is the answer. 4,220. That is as fast as possible, even faster than a calculator. Okay, let's look at this. This is 540 multiplied by 5. How do we go about it? Let's divide 540 by 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2, remainder 1. Put it here. 5 divided 14 divided by 2 is 7. Then 0 divided by 2 is 0. So 540 divided by 2 is 170. So if you multiply by 10, the same thing as adding 0 at the back. That means my answer to this question will be what? 2,700. I think it's getting interesting here. Now let's look at the one that has to do with 50. Okay, this is 72 multiplied by 50. Now the same thing is going to happen here, just a minor tweak. No, 72 will also be divided by 2. And if I divide 72 by 2, I'm going to have 36. Okay, and then 36, instead of me to multiply by 10, since it is 50 there, 50 into 2 is 100. So I will now multiply by 100 instead. And if I multiply by 100, I'm going to have 3,600. And it's the same thing there. The only thing there is if you divide by 2, instead of adding 1 0, you add 2 zeros now since you're multiplying by 50. So that's why you have 3,600 there. Another example, which is this, 602 multiplied by 50. So how do we go about it? The same thing too. 602 multiplied by 50, I'll have to have 602. That's divide 602 by what? By 2. So if I do that, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 0 divided by 2 is 0. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, what I'm doing is what we call division by part. I'm taking them one after another. So now, since we're multiplying by 50, what are we going to do? We're going to now multiply that by 100, and it's the same thing as doing what? Adding 2 zeros at the back. So this will now be 0 and 0. And your answer is what? 30,100. That is absolutely amazing. Super amazing. Okay, now this is 572 multiplied by 50. Let's look at this. What are we still going to do? We're going to divide 572 by 2. So if we do that, 572 divided by 2, I'm going to have what? 5 divided by 2 is 2 remainder 1. Okay, so I put 1 here. 17 divided by 2 is 8 remainder 1. Then 12 divided by 2 is 6. So since we are multiplying by 50, I'll simply add 0 and 0. That will leave my answer to be what? 28,600. Now, you can try this out with your calculator, multiply them, and then see whether these answers are correct. Then, like I said, for 500 and so on, what you just keep on doing is, if it is 500, you're going to add an extra 0 at the back. That is 3 zeros. We're multiplying by 1,000 and not 500. So we're simply dividing 1 by 2 and multiplying the other side by 2. That's what is happening there. So, like I told you, that we are using the distributive property of mathematics to work on this, and I'm going to make a video to show you how this works where we have other numbers apart from 5 and so on. Alright, so this is going to be the end of the video. You're going to use this as your assignment. Work on this and send your answers right at the comment section, or also send them to my DM for me to verify. Now, remember I said you can send this to your kids, share it to your friends so that they will look at this and look at easy ways of doing mathematics and not the hard ways that we used to know. Okay, and the next video I'm going to be doing how to do the same thing for odd numbers, and that's also going to be super interesting. Remember, math is super easy. You just have to say yes, and you just have to believe. Thank you for joining me in today's class, and see you in the next class. Bye-bye.